So this disaster in Russia brought a new alliance of countries against France, and that alliance included Russia, Britain, Austria, and Prussia. All of those countries against a weakened France. In 1813, they defeated Napoleon in the Battle of the Nations at Leipzig. The next year, Napoleon abdicated or stepped down from power. The victors of that battle exiled him to Elba, which is an island in the Mediterranean right off of Italy's, where you might say its knee, Italy's knee, right off that peninsula. They then recognized Louis XVIII, brother of Louis XVI, as the King of France. Okay, so they restored that monarchical line back to France. But the restoration of Louis XVIII did not go smoothly. The Bourbon king, that's what all those Louis, what their last name was, he agreed to accept the Napoleonic Code and honor the land settlements made during the Revolution. However, many émigrés, those were French who left during the Revolution and then want to come back into the country, rushed back to France bent on revenge. Okay, and economic depression and the fear of a return to the old regime helped rekindle loyalty to Napoleon. So now with a Louis back in charge, people are scared that things are going to go back to the way it was. Remember all those taxes and the three-class system. So that fear started rekindling. People, even though he failed, want Napoleon back. Okay. As the victorious allies gathered in Vienna for a general peace conference, Napoleon escaped his island, where he was exiled, and returned to France. Soldiers flocked to his banner, flocked to go be with him, that were loyal to him. As citizens cheered Napoleon's advance, Louis XVIII fled, so he left. In March of 1815, the Emperor of the French entered Paris in triumph. Now, Napoleon's triumph was short-lived. That victory, his success, only lasted for about 100 days, while the Allies reassembled their forces. On June 18, 1815, opposing armies met near the town of Waterloo in Belgium. British forces under the Duke of Wellington and a Prussian army commanded by General Blücher crushed the French in an agonizing day-long battle. Once again, Napoleon was forced to abdicate and go into exile on St. Helena, an island, lonely island, in the South Atlantic. This time, he's not going to return. He's going to die on that island. Let's talk about the legacy of Napoleon. So, he dies in 1821, but his legend lived on in France and around the world. His contemporaries as well as historians have long debated what his legacy is. Was he revolutionary, on horseback, as he claimed, or was he a traitor to the revolution? Remember, he was fighting to get rid of the monarchy, okay, to establish a republic and a constitution, and in the end, he brings back monarchy, basically, right? No one, however, questions Napoleon's impact on France and on Europe. Make sure you get these down. These are his important. So, the Napoleonic Code consolidated many changes of the Revolution. So all these different changes that were happening during the Revolution, Napoleonic Code brought them all together in one document. The France of Napoleon was a centralized state with a constitution. Elections were held with expanded though limited suffrage. Many more citizens had rights to property and access to education than under the old regime. Still, though, French citizens lost many rights promised to them by the Republic during the Convention. On the world stage, let's get down his impact. His conquests spread the ideas of revolution. He failed to make Europe into a French empire. Instead, he sparked nationalist feelings across Europe. The abolition of the Holy Roman Empire would eventually help in creating a new Germany, Napoleon also had a dramatic impact on the Atlantic, dramatic impact across the Atlantic. In 1803, his decision to sell France's vast Louisiana territory to the American government doubled the size of the United States and ushered in an age of American expansion. So Napoleon's decisions affects that new country called the United States of America. So the last thing we need to look at today is something called the Congress of Vienna. At Waterloo, that battle where Napoleon was defeated, diplomats and heads of state again sat down at the Congress of Vienna. They faced the monumental task of restoring stability and order in Europe after years of revolution and war. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. It's called the Congress of Vienna, which basically they're trying to heal the nation after the French Revolution and everything that Napoleon has done and all the wars that he's gone through to try and expand France. So the Congress met for 10 months, from September 1814 to June of 1815. It was a pretty good gathering of European leaders, various diplomats and royalty attending this meeting. The main work, though, fell to Prince Charles Clemens von Metternich of Austria, Tsar Alexander I of Russia, Lord Robert Castlereagh of Britain. Defeated France was represented by Prince Charles Maurice de Talleyrand. Now, very important, get this down. The chief goal of the Congress of Vienna was to create a lasting peace by establishing a balance of power and protecting the system of monarchy. So that was the main goal. But each of the leaders also pursued their own individual goals. Metternich, from Austria, he was the dominant guy, figurehead at the Congress. He wanted to restore what's called the status quo, which means the way things are, of 1792. He wanted to go back to the way things were in 1792, pre-French Revolution. Alexander I from Russia urged what he called a holy alliance of Christian monarchs to suppress future revolutions. Lord Castlereagh from Britain was determined to prevent a revival of French military power. And the diplomat from France, Talleyrand, shrewdly played the other leaders against one another to get defeated France accepted as an equal partner. So the peacemakers also redrew the map of Europe. Make sure you get that down. They redrew it basically to contain French ambitions. They ringed France with strong countries. So they put strong countries on France's borders. In the north, they added Belgium and Luxembourg to the already existing Holland to create the Kingdom of the Netherlands. To prevent French expansion eastward, they gave Prussia lands along the Rhine River. They also allowed Austria to reassert control over northern Italy. This policy of containment proved fairly successful in maintaining the peace. So that was the balance of power. Let's talk about the restoration of monarchs, the other goal of the Congress of Vienna. To turn back the clock to 1792, the architects of the peace promoted the principle of legitimacy, which is restoring hereditary monarchies that the French Revolution or Napoleon had unseated. Even before the Congress began, they had put Louis XVIII on the French throne. Later, they restored legitimate monarchs in Portugal, Spain, and the Italian states. Remember, Napoleon had replaced those in charge of those countries, Portugal, Spain, Italy, Austria, all those places, with relatives, something called nepotism. So restoration of monarchs is basically that principle of legitimacy, going back to the legitimate line of monarchs and putting them in control. So to protect the new order, Austria, Russia, Prussia, and Great Britain extended their wartime alliance into the post-war era in something called the Quadruple Alliance, which you need to know. The four nations that I just mentioned pledged to act together to maintain the balance of power and to suppress revolutionary uprisings. The Vienna statesmen achieved their immediate goals, but they failed to foresee how powerful new forces, such as nationalism, would shake the foundations of Europe. So they redrew national boundaries without any concern for national cultures. In Germany, for example, they created a loosely organized German confederation, with Austria as its official head, but many Germans who had battled Napoleon were already dreaming of a strong, united German nation. Their dream would not come true for another 50 years, but the story of German unification begins here. So, despite clashes and controversies, the Congress created a framework for peace. Its decisions influenced European politics for the next 100 years. Europe would not see a war on a Napoleonic scale until 1914, World War I. The ideas of the French Revolution were not destroyed at Vienna. In the next decades, the French Revolution would inspire people in Europe and Latin America to seek equality and liberty. The spirit of nationalism ignited by Napoleon also remained a powerful force, and we're going to see that in the next coming weeks.